One, two, three, four.
Chant down Babylon kingdom. Team make we chant down Vatican now. Bang bling bling chant down Babylon kingdom. Team make we chant down Vatican now. Chant down Babylon kingdom. Team make we chant down Vatican now. Bang bling bling chant down Babylon kingdom. Team make we chant down Vatican now.
What up, y'all? It's Babylon 5 Podcast. It's your boy, Jermaine Event. Damn, this kind of sounds pretty cool. So as you guys know, before I explain why the audio sounds this way, sounds a lot better than the last couple weeks, I'd say. But before I get into that, how has your week been? I hope your week has been fantastic, and if it has not, then I hope next week it's going to turn around and be amazing for you. All right, hoping at the start of consecutive amazing weeks. This is the Babylon 5 Podcast. This is episode 144. I am your host, your faithful host, Jermaine Event, ladies and gentlemen, and I ain't going nowhere. This is episode 144. I don't think I said the name of this episode, which is called Little Hands, Baby Girl. Little Hands, Baby Girl. Little boxes on the hillside. Little boxes made of ticky-tacky. Shout out to one of the most wasted summers. I remember me and my homie Rashid back in the day, we were just binging on fucking, what's that shit? Weeds. Binging on weeds. Niggas is like 19, and we like 19, 20. I know we weren't old enough to drink alcohol, but he had moved into this building downtown that had a store on the first floor, and they didn't card him. So we would just be drinking Franzia. Drinking Franzia, smoking weed, and watching weeds. You know what I'm saying? How men usually kick it. And it's like, you know, that show is good until a certain point. And then it's like, yo, this shit, they ain't even doing anything with weed. It's just, this is just a show. They're following this woman around. It's just, you're dealing with her bullshit. And yeah, so don't waste your time. The Little Boxes, if you haven't wasted your time with weeds yet, the Little Boxes song it's the theme song for weeds. Little boxes on the hillside, little boxes made of ticky-tacky. I fucks with it. They would switch up I think as the show went on, they would switch up who was singing the theme song, which is pretty cool. Be just different versions of the theme song. But this is episode 144, as I was saying. Lil Hands is the name, if you didn't catch it there in that little babble. This week we're going to talk about, I'm going to explain why these vocals sound some type of way. And we're going to talk about, obviously, the season finale of Atlanta, season 3, episode 10, which I believe is called episode 10. I didn't see another name for it other than episode 10. It's pretty dope-ass episode. Dude, this show, it's phenomenal. As I'm trying to tell you, I wouldn't dedicate my time. I was like, I couldn't wait for this show to come back, and I'm so thankful that it did. We're going to talk about UFC Vegas 55, ladies and gentlemen, which was headlined by Holly Holm versus Ketlin Vieja. It's a pretty good fight, actually. But the real main event, the co-main event, Michelle Pereira versus Santiago Ponzinibbio. We're going to talk about that, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, we are. And if I feel like it, we could talk about some other things here. There's no card next week, so we could potentially talk about some other things, but just babble that shit. We'll see what happens here. But if you guys would like to follow this podcast on Instagram and Twitter, it's at Babylon5Pod. You guys can email this podcast at babylon5podcast@gmail.com. If you guys want to hit that like button anywhere you're listening to this podcast, that would be very much appreciated. If you guys are on Twitch, go ahead and follow your boy at twitch.tv/Babylon5. And if you guys want to cop some merchandise, go to teespring.com/store/BOFpod-shop. And lastly, don't just be my Niji. I almost fucked it up. Don't just be my Niji. Be my patron. Head on over to patreon.com/BabylOn5pod to be my patron. And why does the audio sound the way that it sounds right now? Well, as I was saying to you guys, I was having trouble with my Mac Mini. Even now, it still won't, it just won't open Studio One properly. It just doesn't work. I can't arm tracks. I can't record audio in Studio One on my Mac Mini. Also, I can open like these Adobe apps. I can open Premiere, but then if I try to open a project, it'll just say an unknown error has occurred. That's all it says, is an unknown error has occurred. I can't record audio with Studio One, and I can't edit video with Premiere with this Mac Mini all of a sudden. And then I was like, fuck it. Let me just try and see if I can do something with GarageBand. Honestly, man, if I can be real with y'all about GarageBand, ever since I was younger, since I was a young boy, I had always done things with computers, as I've said, and GarageBand was just always there. So like, I always thought of it was just like some stock fucking program. So I always thought of it as like a lesser program. But I mean, I went to school for audio engineering, and I know just as much as any other nigga that went to school for audio engineering that all these DAWs are essentially the same. It's just how you fucking want to work it. You know what I'm saying? That's what it comes down to. I was like, I'm sitting here like, I'm clicking around on this computer, and I'm like, why? What am I looking for? I forgot what I was looking for. I was like, what am I trying to do right now? And even with that, I'm just trying to get my fucking shit not to shut off. All right? I don't want this display to shut off. How do I do that? How do I switch the amount of time before this shit goes to sleep? That's what I would like to do. I'm fucking around. So, back to this whole shit, this audio. So I was like, let me just fucking see if I can at least record on GarageBand, because at least the Mac Mini is quiet. The fucking laptop is super loud. It's gross. That audio disgusts me, and I apologize for it, honestly. It disgusts me. And I was like, let me just open up GarageBand for the first time. I've had, as I'm saying, I've used these computers, these Macs, since middle school. I've used Macs since elementary, actually. I don't know why. Well, yeah, the school I went to, as I said, I've used these computers since I was a kid. It was like one of the computer schools. I didn't know that was a thing until later on, as I believe I've said here. But so because of that, I've always used Mac shit. Like my music class was Reason in middle school. We used Reason in middle school. Music production was my middle school class. So my point is that I always felt, when I was younger, I felt like I needed to buy like a bigger program to really do the things that I could. But all these things are essentially the same. All these DAWs are the same. It's just depending on how you want, what works best for you. And so I opened up GarageBand for the first time in years. I've never really recorded anything or attempted to record anything with this. I just opened it up, And it was like, yo, we got all these cool new stock shit here. Why don't you download all that shit for free? And I was like, cool. And then I open it up, and it's like to record vocals or record voice, which is, or I think it is vocal, which is where I am right now. It is voice. I'm wrong. Whatever. And they got all these fucking presets. And this right now, what I'm using is the tracking preset. I think it sounds pretty crispy, I'd say. Makes me want to rap. You know the vocals sound good. Make a nigga want to rap. That's why I love going to the real studio. Like, once I put that shit on and I hear it, I'm like, all right, it's time to kill some shit. I sound cool all of a sudden. You put some reverb on my shit. You know what I'm saying? It's time to go in. Is how it is sometimes. But yeah. So that's why the audio sounds like this. This is the first recording in GarageBand. It probably won't be the last. It sounds pretty crispy to me, honestly. And I don't know what the issue is with Studio One at the moment. I mean, it works currently on my my MacBook. Even though some crazy shit did happen with the MacBook where I lost all my samples. I lost all my sounds. But luckily, through the site that I download all my sounds, I can manually go back and fucking re-download like all fucking 20,000 of them. It's been a process. So there has been some issues here and there. I'm not with these Mac fucking products. Who knows if this fucking episode is gonna fucking actually record. I'm probably gonna have to take the audio from the video that I'm recording. Thank God that I'm fucking recording video so that I could have somewhere to take audio from, just in case these fucking Mac shits fail me. I thought y'all was fucking flawless. All right, I convinced myself that I would have no issues with Macs, but here I am with having to switch back and forth between my Mac products. And now neither one of them are really working in the way that I need them to. I don't feel like I'm the problem. So anyway, that's why the vocals sound like this. I don't know if I'm going to keep this preset on my vocals going forward. I might experiment a little bit. If you're a long-time listener, there was one episode where I had I think it was around Halloween, but I never even touched on. I think right now would be the first time in probably over a year, if we're referencing that episode, why the audio sounded that way. It was intentional. It wasn't an accident. The audio probably, looking back, it probably sounded fucking terrible. It's probably the worst idea I've ever had, but I was like, fuck it, it's the Halloween episode or some shit like that. For whatever reason, I just I put it in that way and had the audio sounding all wonky. Had the audio sound wonky. I don't think I will do that again, but I might do some other shit. They got some interesting presets here. I might try to learn how to fuck around with this and set up my own little preset here, my own little vocal chain here in GarageBand. You know what I'm saying? I'll try to set up my own vocal chain. But I never played around with it. So just got a little bit of a learning curve. Though it looks pretty user-friendly. It looks pretty user-friendly. This is the second time that I've opened up the program. And now we're recording this podcast. So hopefully you hear these words with the preset. Because if I do have to take the audio from the video, it's like, what is this nigga talking about? And if you don't hear the audio that way, if you hear it sounding plain or just low quality, then understand that this is the audio from the video. All right. Now let's move on to Atlanta. Season 3, episode 10. This is the finale of season 3. It's called episode 10, I believe. It could be called something else. Sorry if I'm wrong. So this episode is nuts, all right? So the whole season, I was telling y'all, like, Van is going off the rails. She's coming unhinged, is what I was saying about Van. And this was a Van episode. Her friend Candace, who was with her in the season 2 when they went to a party at Drake's house. Her friend Candace is in Paris with 2 of her friends. Well, with her friend and her friend's cousin, all right? They're in Paris because Candace got flown out to pee on some guy for $6,000 is the story. And while they're sitting at some restaurant just talking about this, Candace spots Van, like at this like butcher shop or whatever. Whoa, she was at a butcher shop. I just caught that. Yeah, Candace spots Van at a butcher shop. And she goes up to her like, yo, Van. And Van is like initially like, what? Who are you talking to? Like, me? Nah, I'm not Van. Like, she didn't say I'm not. She's like, no. Like, the girl, she's like, Van, it's Candace. And Van's just like shaking her head like she doesn't know who the fuck she is. And then eventually Van's just like, Candice. Like, she's speaking with a French accent, you know. And Candace's friends are like, yo, how do you know her? And Candace is like, well, she used to be a teacher back in Atlanta. She was my friend back in Atlanta. And they're like, so she's not from France? And it's like, nah, she's not. Like, she's talking with this accent right now. And it's like, niggas probably saw you a month ago. And now you're fucking living in France talking with a full French accent, speaking French and shit. Like, so they run into her, right? She fucking takes them to her apartment. And I just watched it for a second time. I like to rewatch the episodes before I start recording this because, you know, you could definitely pick up on more than you did the first time. So the second time I'm watching this, I didn't catch it the first time, but Van's phone, her cell phone, is just blowing up with text messages. People are trying to get in contact with her, but she's just ignoring it. And that was touched upon earlier in the season when Ern was like twice. He was texting her like, and they were showing how like it was like a week had gone by and before she responded. And then when he finally saw her, he was like, I haven't heard from you in weeks. Like, and now you just like pop up out of the blue. Like, what's going on? Like, he's like, your mom's worried about you. You know what I'm saying? So this has been touched on that it was touched on, yeah, that people are trying to get in contact with her and no one can really. They don't know what's going on with her. And yeah. So Candace is what I picked up on right away. Candace is just trying to get a moment alone to talk to her friend Van. Because she's so confused. Like, she sees the picture of Van with has this new boyfriend who's some dude named Marcel. They see a magazine on the table where Van is like some model out there in France. And yeah, it's super random. So they're just like, I got to make a stop to my friend's house. Would you want to come with me? And so yeah, they hop on mopeds. They go to her friends to pick up some keys. And it's fucking Alexander Skarsgård, which at the time, I didn't know who the fuck this guy was. I was like, Alexander Skarsgård? Who the fuck is that? That sounds like some fucking, what's that, the Hulk? Like, no, what's that? Not the Hulk, Thor? Like some Thor type shit. So I'm like, who the fuck is Alexander Skarsgård? I was like, it's not a real person. Turns out this nigga is like the main character in fucking True Blood. If not Sookie. If that Sookie is not the main character, it's that nigga. Bill, Damn, what is it called? Bill Compton. Bill Compton. He's Bill Compton. All right. Yo, it's a certain type of shirt that nigga be wearing. And we used to call them the Bill Compton jump offs. You know what I'm saying? Oh, he got the Bill Compton on. You know what I'm saying? Damn, I completely forgot about that shit until niggas got the Bill Compton on. But yeah, this is Bill Compton. They go to Bill Compton's house, and this nigga's listening to Ashanti, talking about he's had this Ashanti song on repeat all day. Nigga's like, yo, is she still dating Nelly? All right, this is what this nigga asked. Weird ass question. Of course not, my nigga. Yeah, so she meets up with fucking Alexander Skarsgård. They kicking it. She gets something from him. I'm not really sure what happened at this part of the fucking episode. It's just like, I think it's just something that needed to happen with her friends and her. So then they leave, and then she's like, oh, I gotta go pick up a package. Oh yeah, so, okay. She picks up the keys to get the package. She picks up the keys from Alexander Skarsgård. Then she rides on these mopeds with her friends to go pick up the package. Goes to this like seedy area, like it looks pretty bad, like pretty. It's the hood, you know what I'm saying, out there in Paris, and they go to this other moped, and they use and the van uses the keys to open up the back of the moped or whatever, and it's like empty. Whatever package she was supposed to get out of this fucking moped container thing is not there. It's empty. And all of a sudden, all these people are like, they're like throwing shit at her. They cut the tires on their mopeds, and they're coming at them. And these three guys walk up. Like, I think one of them has a crowbar, and they walking up on these three ladies. And Van is just sitting there, puts a cigarette in her mouth. She's like, oh, is this how it has to be? Okay, then this is how it has to be. And the girls are in the back like, what is going on? They're freaking out, all right? These three girls are in the back freaking out. It's four girls. All right, Van and these three other girls. These girls are freaking out like, what the fuck is going on? And then, like, for whatever reason, like, across the street, a car, like, backs up into one of the other guys that these three guys are with. And that guy, like, the car backs into that guy. So then that guy fucking turns and smashes the back windshield of that car. Then the fucking driver of that car hops out and starts fighting that guy. So then the three guys who were about to fight these ladies run to help their friend. So then the ladies run off, all right? So Van and her friends run off. This episode is fucking crazy, all right? It's crazy. They run off. Then, all right, they go to this museum. And this black dude in there, when he sees Van, he's just like real shook, automatically shook. He's like, oh, Van, I'm real sorry. Like the package, like I got the package, but the package was for somebody else. Like, I'm so sorry. And she's the whole time, right? I forgot to mention, whole time that they see Van, she's got a fucking baguette sticking out of her backpack, all right? They went to her apartment, all right? They saw her initially, and she had that fucking baguette. They went to her apartment, left her apartment, and she still had that baguette in her bag. So they go to this museum, and she's got that baguette. And homeboy is like, I don't have your package. There was a misunderstanding. And she's just like, she starts going into this like, you know what they say, if you leave a baguette out for a day, it'll get stale. What happens if you leave it out for a week? What happens if you leave it out for 2 weeks? That's crazy. How odd and stale would it become? She's like adding on like 6 months. How odd and like she's, and then I think it was like 6 months, and then she fucking just starts beating the shit out of this guy in the middle of this museum until he fucking tells her where her package is. It was fucking nuts. She beat the shit out of him with a fucking stale baguette. You feel me? Like, that was the whole point of her having this fucking baguette with her nonstop. This is her fucking badass weapon here. Like, it was fucking dope. It's a dope ass scene. But okay, so then he's like, yo, he's got his ass beat, and he's like, yo, the package is in that vase. So one of the other girls goes in the vase, grabs the package, and they're walking out, and someone's like, it's drugs, isn't it? And I'm thinking like, well, it's obviously drugs. That shit's crazy. What just happened there, all right? It was nuts. What happened there? Bucks are the champions. I just want to throw that out. We are currently champions. And, you know, it's pretty, that scene was nuts, but it's like already this is probably the best episode of the whole season. If not series, it's a pretty good episode. It was a really good episode. So she beats this dude up for the package. They get the package. All right, so then they go to this dinner party. I forget to mention that she did say that there was a party later and that her friends could come. You know what I'm saying? Like, everything she's doing is leading to the party, the dinner party later that night. And so she heads to the place of the dinner party, and the host of the dinner party is like, oh, your friends can join us. You know what I'm saying? And two of the friends are like, yeah, cool, but Candace is like staying with Van. And Van goes downstairs with her boyfriend, Marcel, who's the chef, and he's getting ready to prepare this fucking meal. Now, what I was reading about this episode, apparently it wasn't until 1979, it wasn't illegal until 1979 in France to eat human flesh. So, not until 1979. I was born 10 years later, nigga. You feel me? Like, that shit is wild. It's niggas right now that could tell you about a time that niggas was eating human meat legally in France. You know what I'm saying? It was like, oh, it was wild back in them days. It was wild back in them days. I remember when they changed you know what I'm saying? It's niggas right now that can tell you them stories. So they go downstairs with Van's boyfriend, and she gives him the package. And Candace is talking to Van, like, just like, what's going on? Like, what are you, like, I saw your phone blowing up. Like, what's going on here? And, like, they're just talking. And I didn't pick up on this the first time because I'm paying attention to them, to these two ladies talking. Like, she's like, Van, what's going on? And I'm, like, the second time, I'm looking in the background. And sure enough, the boyfriend opens up the package. And there's fucking hands. All right? Human hands are in this fucking package. A bunch of fucking human hands. And he fucking uses fucking, like, he fucking batters that shit up and serves fucking human hands to motherfuckers. And they, like, there's even the process where, so the two girls from Atlanta who were just there for the ride, they didn't know what the fuck was going on. What they do before they eat, the lady who's hosting the party was like, just to remind you guys, like, for those who don't know, there's this napkin here, and we put it over our heads, not over shame, but as a way to just have an intimate moment. So they do that before the food is even served, and they do that before the food is even fucking served, and then they bring out the plates, and then at one point, so Van and Candace are alone. Candace is like, yo, what are you going to do for money? Van is like, I'm clearly working right now. And she's like, what about your parents? And she's like, my parents always wanted me to get married. Well, they'll be happy that I'm getting married, and they always wanted to come to Paris. And she's like, what about Lottie? And then right when she says, what about Lottie, like, that's when Van fucking, her voice cracks from that French accent. to her real shit, her real voice. And she's like, I'll bring her here. And Candace is like, to eat hands? And then fucking Van fucking snaps, starts screaming, throwing shit at her boyfriend. It was the whitest moment in Atlanta. Starts throwing shit, like, get out, get out. And during this whole commotion, one of the two other girls from Atlanta is just like, what's that noise? What's going on? And then she takes off the napkin and looks at the fact that she and her friend have been eating human hands. And she's like, oh my God, this is a hand. Like, and like they get up and they start running. She's like, hello, does anybody hear me? Y'all are eating hands. And like they run off. And Alexander Skarsgård comes out to where because he's at the party, obviously. And he comes out to where everybody's sitting there eating food. And he's like, all right, dinner time. Let's see where those little hands are. Right? So that's why we're calling this Little Hands. Skarsgård was like, where are those little hands or some shit like that. And I was like, fuck. The package, my nigga, was hands the whole time. And yeah, so that's that wild ass moment there. The whole episode was nuts. Whose hands are these hands? It's nuts. And Van and Candace then talk, and Van goes to explain that when she was in Atlanta, she pretty much like attempted suicide, but then like she was like gonna let her car drift off into the other intersection, to the other lane, and just cause a head-on collision. And she was like, I just like closed my eyes and let the wheel drift, and then she said, and then she freaked out, like realizing what she was doing. She like opened her eyes, and then she like cried all the way home. And then when she went to pick her daughter up from school, she felt like her daughter was looking at her in a way like her daughter knew what she had done or some shit like that. And like that whole thing just fucked with her, and how like she just doesn't have an identity, but everybody else like knows who they are, but she doesn't know who she is as a person. This is something that I was reading that they've been like pretty much building up on since season 1. You got season 1 where she loses her job as a teacher. And then season 2, she was pretty much talking about this, how she's just seen as just nothing more than Lottie's mom, while everybody else is out there like doing things. She's just Lottie's mom. And yeah, the whole thing, man, she had a fucking breakdown. Went to fucking France. Or she said when she was in Amsterdam earlier in the season, she was in her hotel room watching movies, and some movie called Amelie came on, and she decided then she was going to be Amelie. I have not seen this movie. I kind of want to now, because this episode was fucking nuts. But apparently that's what her whole thing was. She apparently cut her hair to look like Amelie, and that's what she was trying to do, was be Amelie, whoever this fucking character is. But it was fucking dope. Like, that's pretty much how that season ends. Or that episode ends with them just like, yo, let's go home. And then it cuts. There's a post-credit scene where it's like Ern is at home, and then somebody brings a bag to him that like was left at the airport. That's his bag, they're saying. It's got his name on it. And he's like, yo, this ain't my bag. But they drop it off for him anyway. And he looks through the shit, and it turns to be a bag for the Ernest Marks, who killed himself in the episode where white people were being sued for reparations and losing. Like, in that episode where white people were being sued and losing, and then he killed himself. That dude's name was Ern. But, you know, that's crazy because it's crazy because Because you would think those fucking... I was trying to talk about this with my wife. I was like, I don't think these episodes, these bottle episodes where it's just following these random people exist in the same universe as the actual Paperboy shit, but it clearly does. And I was like, there's certain things, the fact that like they keep talking about, oh, we're about to go to the Black Panther 3 premiere, which isn't a thing, or Black Panther 2 premiere. They keep talking about it. They're going to the premiere of Black Panther 2, and they're saying all these, Lorenz Tate is going to be in it, and like they're saying all this shit, you know what I'm saying? And it's like, they'll say that in the episodes with Paperboy, they'll talk about that in the episodes without Paperboy. So that's, I guess, things like that are tying it all together. But that urn was even a ghost. But that's what's crazy. In the first episode, there was like the ghost who was telling a story to start the whole season. That guy came back later on in the episode where white people were being sued and losing. Getting sued for reparations and losing, he was like, I'm Ern. And then he killed himself. But he was a ghost in the lake in the first episode. And then at the end of the season, his bag gets dropped off with the black urn with a picture of him and his family. And he has like a Deftones t-shirt. I don't know what the fuck that means. I didn't get that fucking ending at all. They fucking yeah, I don't understand it at all. Like he fucking pulls out a t-shirt that says Deftones on it. It's a band, clearly, but I don't get I don't get what was the... Or shit, actually, let me see what the Deftone albums... Because, I don't know, it seemed like... Maybe I'm wrong. It seemed like the cover... Like, whatever fucking, whatever shit he was looking at, that t-shirt, it seemed like, like there was an album cover on the back of that t-shirt. It said Deftones on the front, and then it was some shit on the back, and I'm curious, like, what is the significance of that? What is, like, is that a certain album that's called, like, This Nigga Ern is a Genius, or Donald Glover? Actually, I don't even know. Is it that pony shit? Is that what I was seeing? What's that pony shit? I think it was the pony. Whatever that... Is it the white pony? It might be white pony. It might be fucking white pony. I think that's what it is. I think if anything that makes sense. Is that like a I don't even know. I'm sorry to I'm not sorry to babble here. All right, you gonna fucking know. Huh. It says white pony is slang for cocaine. See, I don't know. I don't know anything. I don't know anything. What is urban? Yeah, it says cocaine. I'm so sorry. Shit. I'm sitting here like, fuck, I'm reading this shit, and I'm like, dude, how long have I been silent here? I'm very sorry. Hopefully not that long. This episode's not over. I'll try to cut that out. Sorry to have done that, but I was reading about this White Pony album by the Deftones. It says it's people say it's their best album. It's a very unique sound, almost psychedelic. All right, almost psychedelic, which I think is there we are. That's the reference. But with a touch of heavy metal, definitely a good album for everyone to check out. I think this season was almost psychedelic, you know what I'm saying? I think that's the reference there, maybe. I don't know. But it was a phenomenal season. Thank you to everybody who works on this show. It's fucking genius. All right? It's fucking genius. It's the best shit you're going to see. So, if you're not seeing it, I don't know what I can do to get you there, because it's pretty amazing. Pretty phenomenal. And I'm moving on. UFC Vegas 55, ladies and gentlemen. What I say was the headliner. What I say was the main event. And who better to say that than your boy? What I say was the main event. Michel Pereira defeats Santiago Ponzinibbio it was not a war, okay? It was not a war. I would say Michel was all over my boy, okay? Michel was all over Santiago Ponzinibbio. He was just coming forward with these, like, teeps to the fucking gut. These front kicks to the gut, he was just so powerful, man. And he was landing this right hand. If he fucking is able to really tighten up his boxing, we got a real problem on our hands with Michel Pereira. I think he's a potential superstar. Does he speak English? I'm not sure if he speaks English, to be honest with you. I'm not sure, but if he does, man, with his personality, his fight style, we got a potential superstar on our hands. He keeps winning like this. And if he tightens up that boxing and starts, like, finishing, like, people again, like he was back in the day. Dude, he was setting Ponzinibbio up for some shit. He almost was about to catch Ponzinibbio with a jump knee. Ponzinibbio looked slow in there. All right? Ponzinibbio looked like he lost a step. Niggas is like, oh, man, he was about to be this guy, blah, blah, but he's not that guy right now. He's not that guy. And Michel looked great in there, okay? Pereira was clearly the better fighter in there. Clearly the better fighter. I was very entertained. I had to take a break from work for that shit. I was like, I'm watching this fight, nigga. I don't care what y'all say. None of y'all niggas talking about. I'm about to watch this fight. And I was definitely satisfied in it. Michel calls out Nate Diaz. He would like to fight Nate Diaz. He thinks that would be just a really good fight. I think that's a good spot. I don't even know if Nate is ranked at this point. If he is, then they should be pretty close. But I don't even think he's ranked. He also said he would like to fight Jorge Masvidal. He says Jorge Masvidal recently slid into his wife's DMs, all right? His wife was not in Masvidal's DMs. Jorge slid into Michel Pereira's wife's DMs and he said that, like, Masvidal sent his wife, like, prayer hands or some shit like that. And he was like, they don't know each other. He was like, I've never even really spoken to Masvidal. So, like, he's like, he sent it to my wife, but he didn't send anything like that to me. So, like, he was like, I just would like to know. He's like, I would just like to meet up with him and find out why. Hopefully we can find out in a fight. And I would love to fucking see that. I think he beats Jorge Masvidal. I think he's going to be too fast for him. I think he's too powerful. I think he can knock Masvidal out. I think he's ready. The fight I really want to see, and we're not going to see it anytime soon, I don't believe. But Michel Pereira versus Khamzat Chimaev, that's the fight that's going to be crazy. I say in about a year or so, if Michel Pereira keeps winning, we're eventually ladies and gentlemen, gonna get Michelle Pereira versus Hamzat Chimaev. I want that to be like 5 rounds. Shit, in a year? I mean, Hamzat's already, 3? Hamzat is either 2 or 3 right now. I think he's 3. Hamzat is 3. Michelle is probably going to be 14. He just beat number 14. Yeah, so he's probably going to be 14 after Tuesday. So in a year, man, Hamzat could be champion a year from now. I'd say regardless, you have no choice but that fight being 5 rounds, even if it's like a fight night main event or some shit like that. It's got to be 5 rounds, but I think that's probably the most exciting fight for the welterweight division, or if not, a up and coming fight right now that like is really exciting. Like Michelle Pereira versus Hamzat Chimaev really gets me excited. Like I'm really interested in that fight. Like I'd love to see Shavkat Rakhmonov versus Hamzat Chimaev, or even Michelle Pereira, but that doesn't excite me as much as Michelle Pereira versus Hamzat Chimaev. I really hope we get to see that fight. So shout out to Michelle Pereira. He looks to improve every time we see him out there, and I'm telling you, if he could really tighten up that boxing, like I know we've seen him get patient. I'm saying get even more patient. All right, slow it down even more, and get real tight with that boxing. Yo, he's gonna be a problem. He's already a problem, but he can, cause that shit'll work right now against like Santiago Ponzinibbio. But you're trying to fight like a Colby Covington or a Kamaru Usman. Like you're gonna need to slow it down, bro. Slow it the fuck down. But he's big as fuck. Like he's huge. He's huge. So shout out to Michelle. In the main event, man, you had Holly Holm versus Ketlin Vieja. A lot of people screaming robbery at the end of that fight. I wasn't even sure if I was going to watch this fight, but because everyone was saying robbery, I was like, let me go back and see if I can try to score it my way. And from just what I know about how fights are scored, I gave 3 of these rounds to Ketlin. Ketlin was landing these fucking punches, heavy punches, like really hurting Holly. She rocked Holly in the 3rd round. She was just walking forward with the right arm cocked and then just fucking landing on Holly. Holly was like not getting out of the way of this punch, and she's just like loading up on it. Bah, coming up, bah, coming up, bah, just like real obvious that she's about to throw this punch. But Holly couldn't get out of the way of it. In the 2nd round, Ketlin had her in a deep choke. I was like, holy fuck, how did she get out of this? Like, that was like the biggest highlight. Like Holly like somehow escaping from this fucking choke. That choke right there, with how deep it was, that basically won Ketlin the round based off the judging criteria. That's like the only potentially fight-ending sequence of that round, if not the whole fucking fight. You know what I'm saying? So she wins that round because of that. She got rocked in the 3rd round. She was getting hit by those heavy punches. 4th round, she's just walking forward, getting hit with heavy punches. Like, that's just how it goes, man. And then in the 5th round, Ketlin was tired and she was able to just like grapple and get some control time against Vieja, but definitely not a robbery. Only robbery I saw potentially was that Sal D'Amato scored the fight for Holly Holm. It's funny because people usually, like, they'll tweet. If you guys go to Twitter and just search Sal D'Amato, you'll see people fucking slandering this man. Week after week, slandering this man about how he's the worst judge in MMA. But in this fight, when everybody's like, what, Holly won that fight? She got robbed. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? She got her ass beat in that fight. And when you guys are all saying she got robbed, you guys should look at the judges. Like, 2 of the judges said she lost, except for the one judge you guys every week say he doesn't know what the fuck he's doing. So maybe maybe you're all wrong, and maybe he still don't know what the fuck he's doing because he scored it for Holly, and she obviously did not win that fight. She got her ass beaten there. Definitely not a robbery. Definitely, man. I don't think it's too hard to comprehend that Ketlin Vieja was better than a 40-year-old Holly Holm who hasn't fought in 2 years. That's not hard to believe. I don't understand, like, she lost decisively. It's not even a conversation. It's not a robbery. Ketlin won that fight fair and square. All right? Shout out to Ketlin Vieja. Shout out to Jailton Almeida. I saw that fight. That was a pretty fucking good fight. I meant to, like... Well, I didn't mean to necessarily pull up some fights. I was like, if I feel like talking about some of the other fights. I didn't get to see all the fights because I was at work. Ooh, I saw Chidi in Jukuani with the spinning elbow of Dusko Todorovic, man. Dusko is having a little rough time here. I think he had a lot of hype coming into the UFC, and, like, he's having a little bit of a rough go at it. So maybe he'll bounce back if he's not cut from the UFC after this. But shout out to Chidi, man. That guy had he's super strong. The way he was able to just yank Dusko down in the early on, he was going for that fucking choke. He's super fucking strong. I was like, holy fuck, he just, like, manhandled him. There was nothing Dusko could do at first, but Dusko was able to get out of he was able to survive the submission attempt and then get into a better position and then start to grapple. But Chidi, the way Chidi just was like, nah, you're going to the ground now. Just, like, wrapped it up, yanked him to the ground. I was like, holy fuck, he's strong. He is strong. But yeah, Jailton Almeida at heavyweight. He's usually a light heavyweight. He fought at heavyweight and just dominated Parker Porter. Was just all over this man. First round submission, man. Shout out to him. I watched that fight live. Didn't really get a chance to see a lot of these fights. I want to go back and watch this Chase Hooper fight. Apparently this guy won by TKO in the third round. Who would have saw that coming? I thought he was going to lose that fight, but somehow somebody said he fought like a fucking spider monkey. I don't know. I've never seen a spider monkey fight, so it's a pretty crazy comparison there. If you got any videos of spider monkeys who train and fight martial arts, I would love to see it. I would love to see it. I'm not about to babble about any of this other shit. I was about to babble about the circle, but I mean, it's the same babble every season. I just don't understand it. I don't know why niggas is wasting time looking for fucking catfish every season. And then even there's points in this season where we're like, I don't think it matters if it's a catfish if I could trust the person and rely on them. It's like, nigga, yes. That's what the game is. It was never, hey, you better find the catfish in here. Until this season when they were like, if you guys could figure out, until they were like, yo, the Spice Girls is in here. One of these characters is actually the fucking Spice Girls. If you can figure it out, blah, blah, blah. Like, that's the only time where it was like, yo, find the catfish. Or try to find the catfish. When they were like, the fucking Spice Girls are here. Like, nigga. I just thought that was pretty silly. But, yeah. But as far, I guess I didn't want to babble about it, but last thing I want to babble about it is, it's pretty obvious that Frank is going to win this season. They should just give that nigga the money right now. He already gave him the saddest fucking story as far as his parents, his grandparents are concerned. And he was already like the most popular dude in the show. Then he told him the sad story. He's about to throw in some more sad shit in the people's last plea to fucking to win the money, and then he's gonna win that shit, and and that's the end of that season. So it's pretty obvious. I'll be pretty shocked if Frank does not walk away with that money. Pretty shocked. But yeah, that's all we've been babble about today, man. Thank you guys so much for being here. Another week, episode 144. As I said, we don't have any fights next week as far as UFC is concerned. Maybe something else will happen. I could probably react to that. Then we'll talk about the following card. Moving at some point. Talk about that next week. We can talk about the things. Apparently, Floyd Mayweather just had a little exhibition. Didn't know that was happening. Anderson Silva boxed. He won. Shout out to Anderson Silva. Hopefully, he boxes Jake Paul next. That would be pretty cool. But yeah, I will see you guys next week. Yeah. If you guys would like to follow this podcast on Instagram and Twitter, it's at Babylon5Pod. It's at Babylon5Pod. You guys can email this podcast at Babylon5Podcast@gmail.com. If you guys have made it this far in this episode, I'd appreciate it if you hit that like button anywhere you're listening to this. And if you guys are on Twitch, go ahead and follow this podcast for whatever reason. I haven't streamed in a while, but go to twitch.tv/Babylon5. If you guys would like to cop some merchandise, go to teespring.com/stores/BOFpod-shop. And lastly, don't just be my Niji, be my patrons. Go to patreon.com/Babylon5Pod. Thank you guys so much once again for being here for episode 144. Little hands. Where are these little hands at? Yeah. I will see you guys next week, of course. Same time, same bat channel. And I hope you guys are taking care of yourselves and each other. And I'll see you when I see you. I'll holla.
Chant down Babylon kingdom. Team make we chant down Vatican now. Bang the ling bling chant down Babylon kingdom. Team make we chant down Vatican now. Chant down Babylon kingdom. Team make we chant down Vatican now. Bang the ling bling chant down Babylon kingdom. Team make we chant down Vatican now.